She told my daughter I wasn't her mother. It started with one sentence. Your daughter keeps asking when her real mommy is coming to pick her up. I blinked at Mrs. Patterson, the daycare director, thinking I'd misheard, but she stood there, stiff and awkward, holding a juice box and clearly uncomfortable. We were in the lobby of Sunshine Kids Daycare, and behind her, I could see my 3-year-old daughter Sophie, sitting in the corner, building a tower of blocks, completely oblivious to the fact that my world was about to tilt on its axis. Mrs. Patterson motioned for me to step into her office. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She's been saying it for weeks now. Every time you pick her up, she asks when her real mommy is coming. Yesterday, she told me you're just the babysitter. I actually laughed for a second. A weird, nervous laugh. I thought, that's ridiculous. She's 3. She makes things up all the time. But then Mrs. Patterson opened a folder on her desk. Inside were over a dozen crayon drawings Sophie had done in the past 2 months. Each picture had 3 stick figures. One labeled real mommy, always with long brown hair. One labeled fake mommy, a blonde with a frown, standing far away. And a tiny version of Sophie holding hands with the brown-haired woman. I'm blonde. Sophie is blonde. The woman in the drawings wasn't. Mrs. Patterson showed me her notes from several conversations. Sophie had described her real mommy's big house, her dog named Buster, how she had a pink car and made pancakes shaped like hearts. All things Sophie and I had never done. I drove home in a daze. I wasn't just confused. I was shaken. I was the only parent Sophie had ever known. Her father walked out when she was 6 months old and hasn't sent a birthday card since. I've worked double shifts to keep us afloat. I've held her through fevers, nightmares, every scraped knee. I'm her mother. When I got home, things got worse. My mother-in-law, Linda, was sitting on the couch. I hadn't asked her to babysit, hadn't even known she'd be at my place. She usually called before coming over, but today, nothing. She looked up, startled, and shoved a magazine under the couch cushion like she'd been caught stealing. Something about her face made my skin crawl. I demanded to know why Sophie was talking about another mother at daycare. Linda froze, then gave me the fakest innocent smile I've ever seen. She stammered something about just visiting and not knowing anything. But then I saw the corner of a manila envelope poking out from under the pillow she'd just jammed the magazine into. Legal documents. I grabbed it. Inside was a full-blown custody petition, filed 3 weeks ago. Linda was petitioning the court to take Sophie away from me. Her argument? That I was unfit, that I worked too much, that I bought store-made lunches instead of making them from scratch, that Sophie had gotten a scraped knee once under my care. She'd hired a private investigator who took photos of me at a grocery store after 8 p.m., claiming I was partying instead of parenting. She had even included statements from neighbors, people I barely knew, probably coached by Linda, saying things like, the child looks tired in the mornings, or the mother is often in a rush. The medical records? Stolen and twisted. But the worst part? Linda had been visiting Sophie at daycare while I was at work. She had convinced the staff she was an approved guardian, something I never authorized. And during those visits, she told Sophie stories, that I was just a temporary babysitter, that her real mommy, someone with brown hair, was coming back for her soon. She built a full fantasy and fed it to my daughter one day at a time, until Sophie believed it. I was shaking with rage and fear. I called my attorney that night and filed for an emergency restraining order. Within 48 hours, we had evidence, daycare security footage, eyewitness statements, and documentation from Mrs. Patterson confirming Linda's unauthorized visits. What followed was 8 months of absolute hell. Court hearings, therapy sessions, over $23,000 in legal fees. Sophie's drawings became the center of the case, proof of psychological manipulation. My lawyer described Linda's behavior as emotional grooming. The judge didn't disagree. In court, Linda tried to play the sweet grandma. Her story fell apart. She said she didn't mean any harm and just wanted what was best. She actually looked the judge in the eye and said, I didn't think the child would be this confused. The judge called it what it was, child psychological abuse. Linda's custody petition was dismissed, permanently. She was ordered to pay my legal fees, placed on 2 years of probation, and most importantly, banned from contacting Sophie until she turns 18. The restraining order is airtight. She's not allowed within 500 feet of us. Sophie doesn't talk about her real mommy anymore.